I'm so outraged that they wrote me off just because they were scared that I would win, so they decided to be cowards. I don't get why they have to judge my hair. I have green hair, get over it.
I can't believe these idiots voted me off just because I'm young. It doesn't mean that I have a lack of knowledge.
I was kind of expecting that to happen, but you know what? I'm just happy that I have proven myself to be a quiz master, and I have enjoyed my time on the weakest link.
I'm very angry to be voted off in this round, because I'm the one who deserves the prize money, because I was a stronger player throughout the game.
I'm absolutely livid that they would vote me off as the weakest link just because I didn't bank in the round, which is complete nonsense. They were scared that I would win it.
I don't deserve to be voted off, because I was the best player in the whole game. I only got one question wrong, and I'm the one who should be walking away with the prize money.
I'm furious that I got voted off. I wasn't even close to being the weakest link. I got all of my questions right in the whole game, and their excuse for voting me off is absolutely pathetic.
That was extremely pathetic, that they give the absolute rubbish excuse of voting me off just because I make a lot of money. Well, you know what? I wish them the very worst of luck for the later rounds.
The 9 contestants in the studio here today have all appeared on the weakest link before. They claim they have been voted off unfairly, so they decided to have another go. But only one can win, as round by round they will be once again voted off as the weakest link.
Welcome to the weakest link. The 9 contestants in the studio here today have all been on the weakest link before. They think they have been voted off unfairly, but we shall see if that holds truth, as they now have a second chance to win the prize money. They don't know each other, however, they know if they want to win the prize money, they'll have to work as a team, but 8 of them will leave with nothing. As round by round we lose the player voted off once again as the weakest link. Let's meet the team.
Hello, I'm Derek, I'm 24, and I'm a quizmaster.
I'm Nigel, I'm 57, and I'm a barrister.
Hi, I'm Tom, I'm 45, and I'm an accountant.
I'm Steve, I'm 31, and I'm a bank manager.
Hello, I'm Jordan, I'm 20, and I work in a supermarket.
Hello, I'm Brian, I'm 39, and I'm a college tutor.
Hi, I'm Seamus, I'm 67, and I'm an entertainer.
Hello, I'm Francis, I'm 85 years old, and I'm a retired doctor.
Hi, I'm Charles, I'm 28, and I'm an engineer.
Just to remind you of the rules, in each round you have a target of £1,000. The aim is to answer enough questions correctly to reach your £1,000 target within the time limit. The fastest way to get to your target is to create a chain of 9 correct answers. Get your question wrong, you'll break the chain and lose all the money in that chain, but if you say the word bank before the question is asked, the money is safe, but you'll start a new chain from scratch. Remember, at the end of the round only money that has been banked can be taken forward. In round 1 there are 3 minutes on the clock. We'll start with the person whose name is first alphabetically. And that's you, Brian. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Brian, what are the 2 colors that feature on the national flag of Scotland?
Blue and white.
Correct, Seamus. If someone were to die, they would kick the what?
Bucket.
Correct, Francis. In darts, how much points is the inner bullseye worth?
50.
Correct, Charles. Which female singer sang the Christmas song All I Want for Christmas Is You?
Mariah Carey.
Correct, Derek. What is the name of Basil Fawlty's wife in the sitcom Fawlty Towers?
Sidney.
Correct, Nigel. Which mountain between Nepal and China is the highest mountain in the world?
Mount Everest.
Correct, Tom. On a BLT sandwich, what does the L stand for?
Lettuce.
Correct, Steve. In Roman mythology, who was the god of the sea?
Neptune.
Correct, Jordan. In which 2003 Disney Pixar film has a clownfish called Marlin who tries to find his son?
Finding Nemo.
Correct, Brian.
Bank.
Okay. You have reached and banked your £1,000 target in this pathetically easy round. That money will go through to the next round. But of course, one of you will certainly not. Who is worrying you? Who do you think will fall to pieces in the later rounds? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
In this very impressive first round, Brian is the strongest link, since he banked the £1,000. Despite not getting a question wrong, Jordan is the weakest link statistically. But who does the team vote off in this early stage of the game?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Francis.
Jordan.
Nigel.
Derek.
Nigel.
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 Jordan.
Nigel.
Tom. Long time no see.
Yes, indeed. I can't believe it's been over a year since I appeared on the first episode.
Neither can I. So what have you been getting up to since then?
Honestly, not much. I'm just continuing my job as an accountant, and I'm still doing the same activities I do in my spare time.
I see. Remind me about the activities you do when you're not busy being an accountant.
My activities in my spare time are having a drink, watching the TV, listening to music, going to parties, and going to the beach, when the weather is good, of course.
And what do you like to do on the beach?
I don't actually do a lot on the beach. I mainly just lie down and enjoy the sun, and the sound of the waves. It's a very good stress reliever, if I'm having a tiresome day at work.
Alright. So Tom, why do you think you deserve a second chance to win the weakest link?
Because I was voted off tactically in the final voting round, and I was the best player of episode 1, since I only got 2 questions wrong in the whole game.
So why did you vote for Nigel? Why doesn't he deserve a second chance?
I'm sure he does, but I think it was difficult to vote for someone since everyone did well in this round. But I voted for Nigel, because if you think about it, he doesn't really need the prize money.
Oh, for
because
God's
since he is
sake,
a barrister,
not again.
He makes a lot of money anyway, so no hard feelings.
Okay. Brian, why are you back to have another go on the weakest link?
Because I believe that I shouldn't have been voted off, because I was the best player of episode 7, and Alan should have chosen me to keep in the final round, instead of Craig.
I bet you must have been very annoyed to have been voted off like that.
Yeah, I was, but I did manage to get over it fairly quickly, and I did enjoy my first time on the show.
Right. So are you still enjoying your job as a college tutor?
Of course, I still really like my job as a college tutor, and I can't believe it's been 16 years since I first started.
Have you ever thought about doing something else?
Actually, I am planning on being a professional engineer, because I not only know about electrical engineering, but engineering in general, but I want to at least do another 10 years of being a college tutor, and then move on to professional engineering.
Wouldn't some people miss you when you eventually leave your job as a college tutor to become a professional engineer?
Yeah, they would. I get along with all my students, and they would be very sad to see me go, but like I said, it would be at least another 10 years until I decide to leave my job, and look for a bigger career.
Okay. So Brian, why Nigel? Let me guess, he makes a lot of money?
Yeah, but that's not the main reason why I voted for him. The main reason why I voted for Nigel, because I thought he was slightly hesitant on answering his question. I mean, come on. It was pretty obvious the answer was Mount Everest, and he should have answered it quicker.
Well, just like what happened before, he was not the worst player in the round, but as you know, it's votes that count. Nigel, the 57-year-old barrister, It looks like luck is certainly not on your side at all, because just like what happened before, when you first appeared on the show, the contestants think that you don't need the prize money, and Brian thinks you're too hesitant. Well, unfortunately for you, it's time once again to go back to being a barrister. With 5 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
This is an absolute joke. I came here all this way to have another chance of winning, and it turned out to be a pathetic waste of time. That's very rich of Tom to say that I make a lot of money, when he's an accountant, and Brian is just an annoying know-it-all, who is very obnoxious, and the rest of them who voted for me for all I care can all bugger off.
Round 2. You've reached your target in the last round, so you have £1,000 in the kitty so far. There are 8 of you left. We're cutting 10 seconds from the time. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Brian. Let's play. The weakest link. Start the clock. Brian, what kind of creature is Marty in the 2005 animated film Madagascar?
Zebra.
Correct, Seamus. In chemistry, which noble gas is represented by the letters He?
Helium.
Correct, Francis. In which year of the 1920s was Queen Elizabeth II born?
1925.
Nope, 1926. Charles, which board game is one of the characters called Professor Plum?
Pluto.
Correct, Derek. Complete the famous phrase, hope springs what?
Eternal.
Correct, Tom.
Bank.
Which crime-fighting superhero lives in Gotham City?
Batman.
Correct, Steve. In maths, what's 81 minus 48?
33.
Correct, Jordan. Which American president used to present the TV show The Apprentice?
Donald Trump.
Correct, Brian. In Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book, what is the name of the Black Panther?
Bagheera.
Correct, Seamus.
Bank.
In the nursery rhyme, 3 blind mice who cut off their tails with a carving knife?
The farmer's wife.
Correct, Francis.
Bank.
What date is New Year's Eve celebrated?
The 31st of December.
Correct, Charles. Complete the title of this song by Green Day, Boulevard of what?
Broken Dreams.
Correct, Derek. Which American company is famous for making the Macintosh computers?
Apple.
Correct, Tom.
Bank.
What V is another word used for a holiday?
Vacation.
Correct, Steve. What is the official currency of the Republic of Ireland?
Euros.
Correct, Jordan. Which fictional detective has an assistant called Dr. Watson?
Sherlock Holmes.
Correct, Brian. Which star sign of the zodiac is represented by scales?
Libra.
Correct, Seamus.
Bank.
Judy Garland plays which character in the 1939 film Wizard of Oz?
Dorothy.
Correct, Francis. In geography, what is the capital city of Australia?
Sydney. No, Canberra.
No, I can only accept your first answer. Canberra is the correct answer. Charles, how many sides does an onagon have?
9.
Correct, Derek. What C is the name of the public place where people gamble their money?
Casino.
Correct, Tom.
Bank.
Someone who deceives or tricks a person is known as a what in sheep's clothing?
Wolf.
Correct, Steve. In the television program Top Gear, what's the name of the mysterious driver who wears a white racing suit?
The Sting.
Correct, Jordan. An Alaskan Malamute is a type of breed of which domestic animal?
Dog.
Correct, Brian. In language, the French term merci means what in English?
Thank you.
Time's up. That was the correct answer and you were just in time. And it looks like you've slightly fallen down the drain, team. You banked £620, but do you know what else is disappointing? Is the fact in this round, you had a chain of 15 correct answers. So if you banked intelligently, you could have easily reached your target. Who looks extremely confused? Who is half awake and not paying attention? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
In the second round, Brian is the strongest link, since he got the most correct answers. The weakest link is Francis, since he was the only one to get questions wrong. But how will the votes go?
voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Francis. Francis. Francis.
Francis.
Francis.
Francis.
Tom.
Francis.
Derek, what brings you back here on the weakest link?
Because I believe that I deserve a second chance. Because back when I first appeared on the show, I didn't get a single question wrong, and Harrison and Mitchell voted me off tactically, because they were scared that I would win, so I decided to take the opportunity to try and win the money again.
Do you think you're going to win this time?
Well, I'm feeling very confident today, but however I'm not guaranteeing that I would win, because it depends how the votes go. But apart from that, I could possibly win today's game.
I see. And do you still think you're a quiz master?
Yes, of course. I have proven in the 4th episode that I have great general knowledge, and since I got voted off from the show, I've been studying all of my quiz books, and that's why I am very confident about the game today.
So basically, you think you're gonna answer all of your questions correctly in the whole game, just like in episode 4.
Like I said, I've been studying all of my quiz books, so there's a very high possibility, but I guess we'll wait and see.
Indeed. So Derek, why have you voted for Francis? Is it because of his age?
Of course not. When it comes to game shows, it doesn't matter if a contestant's old or young, it doesn't mean they have no knowledge. But the reason why I have voted for Francis is because he was unfortunately the weakest link in this round, as he got 2 questions wrong, and it's a shame, because I think he knew the answers to both of the questions. I just think the nerves got the better of him.
I think you could be right. Steve, I believe that I haven't spoken to you before, so you're a bank manager?
Yup, I sure am.
How long have you been a bank manager?
I've been a bank manager for nearly 11 years.
And what do you like so much about being a bank manager?
There's nothing really exciting about being a bank manager. I'm just happy that it's well paid, and it's a job that I'm good at.
Is there any other things that you're good at, despite being a bank manager?
Yes, of course, I'm also good at pub quizzes, tennis, video games, painting, and I'm very good at maths.
Is there anything you're not so good at?
Maybe a few things. But I'm very good at most things, and just like Derek, I'm feeling very confident about today's game too.
Okay. So Steve, remind me why you got voted off when you first appeared on the show.
I was voted off in round 1 for no good reason. One of the contestants said it's because of my green hair, which is a very stupid reason to vote someone off.
And what has Francis done to upset you? Don't think he's good enough?
He hasn't upset me at all. He seems like a very nice guy, but it's just unfortunately, he had a really bad round, and he got 2 questions wrong, when everyone else got theirs correct. I'm sorry, Francis, but you were the weakest link in that round, and you need to go.
Well, statistically he was indeed the weakest link in this round. Francis, the 85-year-old retired doctor. You did well when you first appeared on the weakest link, but it looks like your performance this time is not very good at all, because due to the nerves getting the better of you, you got 2 questions wrong, making you the worst player in the round. It's time to go back home. Unanimously with 7 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm gutted. Just absolutely gutted. I was very excited to have another chance of winning the prize money, and I blew it with my rubbish performance, and the team had the right to vote me off. I think the Australia question will haunt me for the rest of my days. I knew it was Canberra, but my mind slipped and I said Sydney.
Round 3. You have in the bank so far £1,620 out of a possible 2,000. You're down to 7 players. We're cutting another 10 seconds from the time. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Brian. Let's play. The weakest link. Start the clock. Brian, the song by Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On, features in which 1990s?
Titanic.
Correct, Seamus. Which queen of the UK died of a hemorrhagic stroke in January 22, 1901?
Queen Victoria.
Correct, Charles. How many people attend to a double date?
4.
Correct, Derek. Which female author and playwright wrote the 1937 book Death on the Nile?
That was Agatha Christie.
Correct, Tom.
Bank.
In which Disney musical film series does Zac Efron play the character Troy Bolton?
Is it High School Musical?
Correct, Steve. What name is given to people who are an inhabitant or native of the English city Manchester?
Mancunians.
Correct, Jordan. In which Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale had a tiny girl that was no bigger than the old woman's thumb?
Thumbelina.
Correct, Brian. Which Italian city is famous for its canals?
Venice.
Correct, Seamus. The Klingons are fictional creatures in which sci-fi film series?
Star Trek.
Correct, Charles. In mechanics, a device used for cars' exhaust to reduce toxic fumes is called a catalytic what?
Converter.
Correct, Derek. In pop culture, what is a 6-letter word meaning to take a self-portrait of yourself?
Selfie.
Correct, Tom.
Bank.
What does the film certificate PG stand for?
Parental guidance.
Correct, Steve. In the famous expression, if someone were to cut a rug, what would they be doing?
Dancing.
Correct, Jordan. What structure was built in 1961 to separate East and West Germany?
A wall.
No, I can't accept just the
For
wall.
God's sake.
The correct answer is the Berlin Wall. Brian, which British TV soap opera is the surname Dingle popular?
EastEnders?
Nope, Hammerdale. Seamus, which famous chef is also known as the Naked Chef?
Jamie Oliver.
Correct, Charles. Which sport would you associate Nigel Mansell?
Motor race.
Correct, Derek. In Christmas traditions, people traditionally do what under the mistletoe?
Kissed.
Correct, Tom.
Bank.
What is another name for a baby stroller and also for a vehicle that travels on the moon?
Buggy.
Correct, Steve. Which family of musical instruments does the triangle belong to?
Percussion.
Correct, Jordan.
Blank.
Which duration is longer, 240 seconds or 5 minutes?
240 seconds.
Time's up. The correct answer was 5 minutes. You were very close to your £1,000 target team. You banked £950, but of course the aim is to reach the target, not being as close as possible to it. Who is starting to show weakness? Who do you think won't be much used in the later rounds? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
In this round, Tom is the strongest link, since he answered all of his questions correctly, and banked £900 for the team. Jordan is the weakest link, since he got the most questions wrong. But has the team noticed that?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Jordan.
Brian.
Jordan.
Brian.
Jordan.
Brian.
Brian.
Seamus. Why are you back on the weakest link?
Because when I first appeared on the show, I got all of my questions right in the entire game, and I was voted off in round 6 as the strongest link by Barry and Sarah, and their excuse was rubbish. I'm also glad that neither of them won the money.
I bet you were. So are you still entertaining people at parties?
Yep, I sure am. In fact, I was at a birthday party just a couple of weeks ago, and I was the DJ.
I see. What kind of music were you playing at the party?
It was a mixture of 70s, 80s and 90s music requested at the party. There was even a few 60s songs played at the party as well.
What kind of music do you personally like?
Well, surprisingly, I'm really into techno, rave, and electronic music. Artists like Scooter, Sash, The Chemical Brothers, and of course The Prodigy. I even like some modern techno music.
Surprisingly indeed. And do you ever go to live concerts and raves?
Well, maybe not as much as back in my younger years, but I still have plenty of energy to go to raves occasionally, despite my old age.
Good for you. So Seamus, why Brian?
I knew he wasn't the weakest link, but I voted for Brian, because I don't trust him. There's just something about him that makes him untrustworthy, and he seems a little smug and arrogant. And to be fair, it was a very easy question he got wrong anyway.
Very interesting reasons. Jordan, who can't remember the name of the wall that separates East and West Germany? So you're not a college student anymore?
Nope, not anymore. I left college just a few months ago. I now have a job at a supermarket.
I see. What do you do at the supermarket?
Basically, I arrange all the stuff that goes on the shelves, and I also put the prices on their products.
And what did you study at college before you got the job in the supermarket?
Before I got the job at the supermarket, I was studying business, criminology, marketing, and politics.
Why didn't you get a job that was relevant to the subjects that you were studying? Because the job you have currently doesn't sound that impressive.
That's because I was desperate to get a job, and I knew that getting the job at the supermarket would be easy, but I'm planning on getting a much better job when I eventually leave my job at the supermarket.
And what job do you really want to get after leaving the supermarket?
Well, I was always interested in starting my own business and becoming an entrepreneur. And hopefully I have enough qualifications to do these things in the future.
How ambitious. So Jordan, remind me, why do you think you got voted off unfairly when you first appeared on The Weakest Link?
Because the contestants who voted me off thought I was too young for their show, which is ridiculous. Just because someone is young, doesn't mean they lack knowledge.
And why did you vote for Brian? Did you think he was the weakest link?
No, I think I was the weakest link in this round, because I think I got 2 questions wrong, when Brian got 1 question wrong, and I can't vote for myself, so I voted for Brian, and besides, I agree with Seamus, it was a very easy question he got wrong.
Well, you were right, Jordan. It was you who was the worst player in the round, but it's votes that count. Brian, the 39-year-old college tuner, you weren't the worst player in the round, but it looks like Seamus wants to get rid of you because he doesn't trust you apparently, and both Seamus and Jordan think the 1 question that you got wrong was very easy. Well, it's time for you to once again go back to the college. With 4 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm extremely annoyed to be voted off so early in the game, when I wasn't even the weakest link, and the only reason I even got the question wrong in the first place is because I don't watch that garbage. I hope Seamus gets voted off next, because he has really irritated me by his reasons on why he voted me off, and I hope he gets a taste of his own medicine.
Round 4. You now have in the kitty £2,570 out of a possible £3,000. 6 of you left. We're cutting another 10 seconds from the time. You now only have 2.5 minutes. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Tom. Let's play The Weakest Link. Start the clock. Tom, in UK politics, what does MP stand for?
Member of Parliament.
Correct, Steve. In Trafalgar Square, the column is a monument to commemorate the death of which British flag officer?
Admiral Nelson.
Correct, Jordan. In which decade of the 20th century was the compact disc first released?
The 90s.
Nope, the 80s. Seamus, the title of the William Shakespeare play is The Taming of which animal?
True.
Correct, Charles. In food, Maurice Piper is what kind of vegetable?
Potato.
Correct, Derek. Which Norwegian pop band had the song Stay on These Roads Take on Me in Manhattan Skyline?
That's a-ha.
Correct, Tom. In the human body, how many adrenal glands are there?
2.
Correct, Steve. Which of these is not a chemical element, bronze or tin?
Bronze.
Correct, Jordan. In sports, Shirley Crabtree is better known as which English professional wrestler?
Pass.
Big Daddy. Seamus, which Dutch painter is famous for his sunflower paintings?
Vincent van Gogh.
Correct, Charles. The sleeping condition that someone has that makes them stop breathing in their sleep is called sleep what?
Apnea.
Correct, Derek.
Bank.
On a road, many roundabout signs usually have a blue circle with what colored arrows?
White.
Correct, Tom.
Bank.
Which 1979 sci-fi horror movie had the tagline "In space no one can hear you scream"?
Alien.
Correct, Steve. The female singer Rihanna was born in which Caribbean country?
Jamaica.
Nope, Barbados.
Bank.
There is nothing to bank. Jordan, what is pyrophobia, the irrational fear of?
Fire.
Correct, Seamus. In the animal kingdom, what is a female fox called?
Vixen.
Correct, Charles. In the 2000s Nickelodeon cartoon SpongeBob SquarePants, what is the name of his pet snail?
Gary.
Correct, Derek.
Bank.
Which American state is the Grand Canyon located?
Arizona.
Correct, Tom. The Picture of Dorian Gray was an 1890 novel by which Irish
Oscar Wilde.
Correct, Steve.
Bank.
In the British television sitcom Only Fools and Horses, Nicholas Lyndhurst plays which character?
Rodney.
Time's up. Rodney was the correct answer and you were in time. So, it looks like you have fallen straight down the drain, team. You banked a pathetic 220 pounds. Who's at fault for making you fall down the drain? Who shouldn't have got a second chance in the first place? Who needs to be ejected from the team? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
For the second time in a row, Tom is the strongest link, since he answered the most questions correctly. The weakest link is Jordan again, since he got the most wrong answers. Can he escape the vote a second time?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Jordan. Jordan. Jordan.
Steve.
Jordan.
Jordan.
Tom. Why have you voted for Jordan?
I voted for Jordan because he was definitely the weakest link. He got 2 questions wrong, and he made us lose a ton of money that we could have banked.
Alright. Charles. So you're still an engineer?
Yup, I most certainly am.
And remind me, what exactly do you do for your job as an engineer?
I mainly build machines and working on engineering projects, like the aircraft project that I am currently working on.
Tell me more about the aircraft project that you're working on.
The project is basically about the design for this new aircraft plane, which will be used for the military, and I'm working on the engine and flying mechanics of the plane.
And is the project going well so far?
Yup, so far so good. The plane should be finished in about a year's time, and it will be tested, and then sold.
So when you eventually finish the aircraft project, what will be the next project that you'll be working on?
I'm not actually sure what the next project will be, but I'll be glad to get the current project finished, move on to the next project, and then eventually leave for a different job.
I remember you said when you first appeared on the show that you would like a job that travels around the world. Will your next job be related to that?
Yes, it does. I'm going to be a flight engineer when I leave my current engineering job, since I have the necessary skills and knowledge for the job, and it's also well paid.
Okay. So Charles, why do you think you deserve a second chance to win the weakest link?
Because in episode 5, I was the only one who deserved the money. I only got 1 question wrong in the whole game, and Louise and Brenda cowardly voted me off.
So what has Jordan done to upset you? Don't think he deserves a second chance?
I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve another chance at all, and he didn't upset me. I just thought he was the worst player in the round, since he got the most questions wrong, and made us lose lots of money.
Well, he was indeed the worst player in the round. Jordan, who's 20 years old and works at a supermarket. You may have got lucky and escaped from being voted off as the weakest link in the last round, but in this round your luck and time has certainly ran out, and the team has unanimously had enough of you. It's time to go back to your job at the supermarket. With 5 votes you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I knew I could have done better, and I'm quite disappointed with my performance in the game, but you know what? I'm just glad that I didn't get voted off in the first round like the last time, and nobody thought I was too young for the show. I think Steve will be voted off next, because he did start off pretty good, but he's now falling apart.
Round 5. You have in the bank £2,790 out of a possible 4,000. 5 of you left. We're cutting another 10 seconds from the time. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Tom. Let's play. The weakest link. Start the clock. Tom, which adult comedy cartoon had a 1999 movie titled Bigger, Longer and Uncut?
South Park.
Correct, Steve. The 2 star signs for the month March are Pisces and which other?
Sorry, what month did you say?
March.
Taurus?
No Perry's. Seamus, which sport does Scotland and England compete for the Calcutta Cup?
Rugby.
Correct, Charles. In the animal kingdom, what is the other name given to killer whales?
Orcas.
Correct, Derek.
Bank.
The Canadian singer Bryan Adams is also known as the Groover from where?
Vancouver.
Correct, Tom. In which religion does the groom stomp on the glass at the end of a wedding?
Jewish.
Yes, I'd accept Jewish or Judaism. Steve, what's the name of the Japanese art that consists of the plantation of small trees?
Oh, it's bonsai.
Correct, Seamus.
Bank.
How many years are in 3/4 of a century?
75.
Correct, Charles. In geography, Guernsey, Jersey and Alderney are a few of which group of islands?
I don't know.
The Channel Islands, Charles. Derek, in which film franchise is the vehicle called the 801 featured?
Ghostbusters.
Correct, Tom. In ice hockey, what is the name of the small black disc-like object that the players hit with their sticks?
Puck.
Correct, Steve. The execution device invented in France in the 18th century used to decapitate people has what name?
Pass.
Guillotine. Seamus, what relation are the actors Sean and Jason Connery?
Father and son?
Correct, Charles. What is a word meaning the widespread of a disease such as the bubonic plague?
Epidemic.
Correct, Derek.
Bank.
What's the name of the American who became world chess champion in
Bobby Fischer.
Correct, Tom. If a television costs £80 a month, how much would that be in a year?
£940. Oh God's sake.
Nope, £960. Steve, half-hitch figure of 8 refundable in our common types of what? Time's up. Well, it looks like your performance is getting worse, Dean. You banked a measly £200. Who keeps stopping you from succeeding? Who is a major disappointment to the team? Who needs to be ditched and forgotten about? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
For the first time in the game, Derek is the strongest link, since he got all of his questions correct, and banked some money for the team. With only one question correct, Steve is the weakest link. But will the votes follow the facts?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Steve.
Seamus.
Charles.
Steve.
Seamus.
We have a tie, Seamus and Steve, 2 votes each. Tom, you've been an accountant for 7 years, but yet you can't answer 80 times 12 correctly?
I know, and I'm extremely embarrassed with myself. I knew I was wrong, and I knew it was 960. I just didn't give myself any time to think, and I answered the question too quickly.
Is this the best excuse that I'm gonna get from you?
Well, I think it's a reasonable excuse, because if I didn't rush the question and gave myself time to think, I would have definitely got it right.
And also, what do you think the people at your work would say, knowing you got such an easy maths question wrong?
They would probably say, "You should have took your time, Tom," and poke fun at me and tease me, since they all expect better from me.
I wouldn't blame them. So Tom, why Seamus?
I voted for Seamus because I believe that he was slightly hesitant on one of his questions, and he's banking too early, and I think that's why we're not winning as much money.
Okay, Seamus. Why have you voted for Steve?
Because he has been definitely falling apart, and he was the weakest link in this round, as he got 2 questions wrong, and he was the one who made us lose lots of money.
Well, when the vote is tied, the strongest link gets to cast the deciding vote. And the strongest link was Derek. Derek, you voted for Steve, but you can now change your mind and vote for Seamus instead. Who are you going to eject from the team?
I'm going to be fair and stick with Steve.
Why?
Because Seamus wasn't close to being the weakest link, because he answered all of his questions correctly. As for Steve, he was definitely the weakest link in this round, because he got the most questions wrong out of everyone else, and his questions were actually pretty easy. Sorry Steve, but I need to be fair, you were the worst player in the round, and you need to go.
Your decision was indeed fair, because he was the weakest link in this round. Steve, the 31-year-old bank manager, who claims to be good at most things. Well, you weren't particularly good in this round, you got 2 questions wrong, and you made the team lose a lot of money, and because of this Derek and Seamus has had enough of you. It's now time for you to go back to being a bank manager. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm so disappointed because I really wanted to win the weakest link, but I suppose I was the worst player, and at least I was voted off fairly this time. I think Derek will win, because he has really good general knowledge, and he has been playing the game the most fairly so far.
Round 6. So far you have in the bank £2,990 out of a possible 5,000. 4 of you left. We're cutting another 10 seconds from the time. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Derek. Let's play. The weakest link. Start the clock. Derek, in history, the 1939 Pact of Steel was a military alliance between Germany and which other country?
Italy.
Correct, Tom. Who played the adult main character Christian Wolf in the 2016 film The Accountant?
Ben Affleck.
Correct, Seamus.
They.
In the acronym LASER, what does the R stand for?
I can't remember.
Radiation. Charles Through the Looking Glass was a sequel to which 1865 novel by Lewis Carroll?
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, but I'll accept. Derek, in the 1970s children's TV program, what's the name of the boy who had the magic torch?
Jamie.
Correct, Tom. Which song by Dean Martin has the first line, "When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie"?
That's Amore.
Correct, Seamus.
They.
What's the name of the 2001 romantic comedy film starring Jack Black and Gwyneth Paltrow?
Shallow Hal.
Correct, Charles. In the human body, what kind of medical condition does hypotension describe?
High blood pressure.
Nope, low blood pressure. Derek, what is the name of the woodcarver who created Pinocchio?
Geppetto.
Correct, Tom. In maths, what's 620 divided by 4?
155.
Correct, Seamus.
Yes!
They.
In law, mainly in America, what F is a serious crime such as murder or robbery?
Felony.
Correct, Charles. In the 1960 Dr. Seuss book, the main character is encouraged to eat green eggs and what?
I don't know.
Ham. Derek, in toys, what popular building bricks means play well in Danish?
Lego.
Correct, Tom. The city of Norwich is in which English county?
Norfolk.
Correct, Seamus. In which century was the drug aspirin first developed?
The 19th century.
Correct, Charles. In the British sitcom Dad's Army, which character was played by Ian Lavender?
Private Pie.
Correct, Derek.
Bank.
Time's up. Your bank was just in time. And you did slightly better in this round. But it's still disappointing. You banked £400. Who isn't coping with the pressure? Whose second chance to win the weakest link has just expired? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
In this round, Derek is the strongest link, since he answered all of his questions correctly, and banked £200 just in time for the team. The weakest link is Charles, since he got the most questions wrong. But whose game is over?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Charles.
Seamus.
Tom.
Shameless.
Charles. Why have you voted for Seamus?
Because he got a question wrong, and he has been hesitant on answering some of his questions, which we can't afford because we have a time limit.
Did you think he was the weakest link?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was the weakest link in this round.
Well, this may be a surprise to you, Charles. You're completely wrong. He wasn't the weakest link in this round. However, would you like to have a guess who was?
It's not me. Is it?
Yes, Charles, it is you. Seamus only got one question wrong and banked money for the team, when you, on the other hand, got 2 questions wrong and banked no money.
That's because I thought you said hypertension instead of hypotension. I got confused with the question.
Oh, so now you're blaming the question?
Not really. I guess I should have just listened to the question better.
Well, obviously you didn't. Tom. Why Seamus? Did you also think that he was the weakest link?
No, I knew he wasn't the weakest link, because I knew Charles got more questions wrong. But the reason why I voted for Seamus instead of Charles is because he wasted too much time on his first question, and he got it wrong, and he's still banking way too early, and that's why we're not reaching our target.
So you don't think you're voting tactically?
I don't think so. I just think that he was too slow and banking too early, so I wanted to get rid of him, so we have a better chance of winning more money in the next round.
That's not convincing at all. Well, Seamus wasn't the weakest link in this round, but as you know, it's votes that count. Seamus. You didn't do as well as you did when you first appeared on the show, but I think you still did well in today's game. You only got 1 question wrong in the whole game, and that is still impressive considering you got no questions wrong in your previous performance. But unfortunately, Tom and Charles think that you're wasting too much time, and Tom thinks you're banking too early. I'm so sorry, Seamus, but you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I just knew that I was going to be voted off tactically again. I'm very annoyed that I only made it as far as round 6 like the last time, and once again, the excuses for voting me off are ridiculous, and Tom and Charles were clearly working together, and I hope neither of them win. The only one who deserves to win the money is Derek. He's a very knowledgeable and honest guy, but unfortunately, I think Tom and Charles will vote him off tactically.
Round 7. Out of the £6,000 you could have won by now, you have in the bank £3,390. There are now only 3 of you left. And we still have Derek the Quizmaster, Tom the Accountant, and Charles the Engineer. We're cutting another 10 seconds from the time. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Derek. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Derek, in politics, which British Prime Minister said, "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, sweat and tears"?
Winston Churchill.
Correct, Tom. Which German-speaking principality has Vaduz as its capital city?
Liechtenstein.
Correct, Charles. The reality TV program The Only Way is Essex is better known as what 5-letter abbreviation?
Cowie.
Correct, Derek. In the 2018 FIFA World Cup, which team defeated Croatia in the final with a score of 4-2?
France.
Correct, Tom. Which social media site used the feature poke button typically used to get someone's attention?
Is it Facebook?
Correct, Charles. In the Bible, who was the wife of Abraham and the mother of Isaac?
Sarah.
Correct, Derek.
Bang.
In the Scooby-Doo cartoons, the character Shaggy Rogers has what real first name?
Norville.
Correct, Tom. Sulfur trioxide is a chemical compound containing how many oxygen atoms?
3.
Correct, Charles. Which actress was the first wife of Tom Cruise?
Nicole Kidman.
Nope, Mimi Rogers. Derek, which Stephen King book is about a girl who has telekinetic powers?
Carrie.
Correct, Tom. In history in 1945 when Japan surrendered in World War II is known as what day?
Victory over Japan Day.
Correct, Charles. Which 1987 movie starring Jason Patric and Kiefer Sutherland is about teenage vampires?
The Lost Boys.
Correct, Derek. In video games, the Master Chief is a fictional character that
Halo?
appears. Correct, Tom. Which British comedian and TV presenter has the catchphrase "Ooh, I could crush a grape"?
Stu Francis.
Correct, Charles.
Bang.
What's the name of the space shuttle that exploded during flight on January 28, 1986?
The Challenger.
Correct, Derek. What V is a person who performs with dummies by giving them voices?
Ventriloquist.
Correct, Tom.
Bang.
Time's up. Your bank was well out of time. Your performance was much better in this round, team. You only got one question wrong, but disappointingly you still haven't managed to reach your target. You banked £750. Now in round 8 you get the chance to treble what you bank, so there's potentially £3,000 to be won. The thing that's really interesting is the fact that all of you have made it as far as round 7 in your previous appearances, so it will be interesting to see who will make it to the final. Who doesn't deserve to move on to the next round? Who isn't raising the bank balance and costing you money? I urge you to have the decency, the bravery, and the honesty to vote off the weakest link.
For the third time in a row, Derek is the strongest link, since he answered all of his questions correctly and banked the most money for the team. Charles is the weakest link again, since he was the only one to get a question wrong, but he did bank £300 for the team. But who will lose out in the final vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Charles.
Derek.
Derek.
Tom. After saying in the beginning that you deserve a second chance because you were voted off tactically, I ask, what is your excuse of voting for Derek, who was clearly the best player in the game?
Well, I want a better chance of winning the prize money, and Derek is the biggest threat, so I've decided to keep Charles in the final, and vote off Derek, because I would rather face Charles in the final.
Oh, so you're saying that you're way too scared to face Derek in the final, and decided to be a hypocrite and vote him tactically?
Yup, I'm afraid so. I may be a hypocrite or too cowardly to face Derek in the final, but it's all worth it, because I now have a higher chance of winning.
Don't you feel a little ashamed for being a hypocritical coward?
Not really, because I think I made a smart decision by getting rid of my rival, like in most competitions, so it's nothing personal.
At least you're honest. Charles, what's your excuse for voting off the best player in the game?
I knew I was the weakest link, but I couldn't vote for myself, so I had no choice but to vote for Derek, because I thought Tom was the strongest link in this round.
I don't believe you. Tom wasn't the strongest link in this round, because Derek banked £450 for the team, when Tom banked nothing, and you could have actually had the courage to vote for Tom instead, so you did have a choice.
I legitimately thought Tom was the strongest link in this round. That's why I didn't vote for him, so I was wrong. Sorry, Derek.
It's way too late to say sorry now, because you have already voted for him, and I still don't believe you. Because you and Tom have been working together, and have voted off the strongest link and best player of the series. You are both cowards. But unfortunately, it's votes that count. Derek, you were excellent in today's game. The fact that you didn't get a single question wrong in today's game and your previous appearance is honestly astonishing, and you have a very impressive amount of knowledge indeed. What it looks like yet again the two remaining cowards are too scared to face you in the final, and have pathetically voted you off. You are the greatest contestant we've ever had on The Weakest Link, and I'm sorry but it's votes that count, and sadly you need to go. I wish you the best of luck. Goodbye Derek.
Okay, this time I am extremely angry. You would think that they would be honest, because they have been voted off tactically before like I was, but no. They are both such hypocritical cowards, and both of them don't deserve the prize money at all. I really don't care who wins, because I am the one who didn't get a single question wrong, and I'm the one who deserves the prize money.
Round 8. In the kitty you have £4,140 out of a possible 7,000. Tom and Charles, just the two of you left. You now only have 90 seconds, but whatever you win will be trebled and added to the total winnings of the previous rounds, so there's £3,000 at stake. You hypocrites have cowardly voted off the strongest link in the last round, so we'll start with the second strongest. And that's Tom. Let's play The Weakest Link. Start the clock. Tom, which TV game show hosted by Ben Shepherd was first aired in 2012?
Tipping Point.
Correct. Charles, which Greek titan shares his name with a book with maps of the world?
Atlas.
Correct. Tom, which British newspaper produces the Fred Bassett cartoon strips?
The Daily Mail.
Correct. Charles, what alcoholic spirit is the main ingredient in a Kremlin Colonel cocktail?
Vodka.
Correct. Tom, in the television soap opera EastEnders, which character was played by Scott Massillin?
Jack Browning.
Correct. Charles, Definitely Maybe was a 1994 debut album for which English rock band?
Oasis.
Correct. Tom,
Bang.
according to the nursery rhyme, who met a pieman going to the fair?
Simple Simon.
Correct. Charles,
Bang.
in which city in Scotland would you find a statue of Desperate Dan and his dog Dog?
Glasgow.
Nope. Dundee. Tom, a game of snooker begins with how many balls?
21.
Nope. 22.
Damn.
Charles, in which Andrew Lloyd Webber musical does the character Growl Tiger appear?
Cat.
Correct. Tom, typically on a computer, which Microsoft Office program is used for creating slideshow presentations?
PowerPoint.
Correct. Charles, the Welsh soccer player Gareth Bale plays for which Spanish club?
Real Madrid.
Correct. Tom, who directed the 2011 comedy film Midnight in Paris?
Woody Allen.
Correct. Charles.
Bang.
Time's up. Your bank was in time. And you banked £670. We'll treble that and add it to the total winnings of today, so that makes the total prize money of today of £6,150. However, there can only be one winner. They'll now play against each other head-to-head. I'll ask alternating questions, best of 5. Whoever answers the most correctly wins. It's as simple as that. If there's a tie after 5, we'll go to sudden death until we have a winner. So Tom and Charles, for £6,150. Let's play The Weakest Link. Tom, as the strongest link in the last round, you have the choice to who goes first.
I'll go first.
Tom, out of all the American states, beginning with the letter M, which one has the fewest letters?
Maine.
That's the correct answer. Charles, which blue gemstone represents the birthstone for the month September?
Sapphire.
That's the correct answer. Tom, which figure skater was attacked during the 1994 Winter Olympics by a hitman hired by her rival, Tonya Harding?
Nancy Kerrigan.
That's the correct answer. Charles, which member of the 1970s English punk band, Sex Pistols, died in 1979 at age 21 due to a drug overdose?
Sid Vicious.
That's the correct answer. Tom, what fictional character, whose name was in the title of the films, goes to camp in 1987? and goes to jail in 1990 was played by Jim Varney?
Ernest P. Worrell.
That's the correct answer. Charles, which organization that is a specialized agency of the United Nations and concerns about international public health has the initials WHO?
World Health Organization.
That's the correct answer. So far you are both level. Tom, to take the lead. The 1961 Disney movie 101 Dalmatians was based on the 1956 novel, originally called The Great Dog Robbery, is by which female English author?
Jodie Smith.
That's the correct answer. Charles, in classical music, in which century was the opera by Mozart, The Magic Flute, first premiered?
/ 18th century.
That's the correct answer. Tom, which 1990s British sitcom, starring Rowan Atkinson and James Dreyfus, takes place in a police station?
The Thin Blue Line.
That's the correct answer. Charles, you need to answer this question correctly to stay in the game. In astronomy, Phobos and Deimos are the two moons of which planet in the solar system?
Mars.
That's the correct answer. So after 5 questions each, your scores have tied. So we now go into a sudden death situation. The questions will continue in pairs. So Tom, if you get your question right, then Charles would have to answer his question correctly, or else you win. And Tom get your question wrong, and if Charles gets his right, he wins. So, Tom and Charles, let's play sudden death. Tom, which car model made by Ferrari, first produced in 2002, was named after the company's founder?
The Enzo.
That's the correct answer. Charles, which cartoon, created by Tom Ruegger, first aired in 1993, features the characters Yakko, Wakko, and their sister Dot?
Animaniacs.
That's the correct answer. Tom, the 2010 album Doo-Mops and Hooligans, that has the songs Grenade, The Lazy Song, and Just the Way You Are, is by which American singer?
Is it Bruno Mars?
That's the correct answer. Charles, in history, in 1381, who was the leader of the Peasants' Revolt?
Wat Tyler.
That's the correct answer. Tom, which Canadian province has Saskatoon as its largest city and Regina as its capital?
Saskatchewan.
That's the correct answer. Charles, which 1991 film does Jodie Foster play an FBI agent named Clarice Starling?
Hannibal.
No, the correct answer is Silence of the Lambs. That means Tom, you are today's strongest link and you go away with £6,150. Charles, you leave with nothing. Join us again for the weakest link. Goodbye.
It feels so good to finally win the weakest link, after waiting for over a year to get back on the show.
I'm absolutely devastated about the silence of the lambs question, because I knew it. But I suppose Tom did win fair and square, and it was an intense sudden death round.
Charles did really well in the final round, so fair play to him, and I'm looking forward to spending my prize money on a holiday.